Hello from Portland. I finally got around to downloading Macklemore's album, and I have no idea how long that's been out. I think it's had a couple of really popular songs because I recognized them when I downloaded the album. I don't really keep up as much as I should with music, so I really hadn't heard about him, even though he lives up in Seattle, until he did a video about same-sex marriage that was really beautiful. And the song is called Same Love. Really great song, which made me want to hear more of his music. So I downloaded his album, The Heist, and I was listening to the first song, which is called 10,000 Hours, which I will say is by far the best rap song ever based on a Malcolm Gladwell book. The 10,000 Hours is from a Malcolm Gladwell book called Outliers, where he talks about how people become successful, and a lot of it really is luck, and it turns out that's a big part of what the book is about, is how just being in the right place at the right time has a lot to do with what people become really successful. But the other part obviously is hard work, and he proposes this rule of thumb that it requires 10,000 hours of practice to become a master of anything, athletic or musical or artistic. And I don't dispute that it takes a lot of time to become a master of something, and I don't really quibble with the 10,000 hours figure. But I did think it was really cool that Macklemore took it and turned it into a song basically about becoming an artist and putting in all this time. The reason I'm talking about this song is that there was a line in it, and as we know, I listen to song lyrics and they get into my head and make me think about things. So he's talking about the 10,000 hours, and then he's talking about all the time it took. He says he ended up with nothing you can hold on to but everything there is. And there's so much packed into that line. The idea that you really do put in all this time and effort, and in one sense you have nothing to show for it. There's nothing tangible or physical changed, and yet everything has changed. You are a totally different person because you've acquired knowledge and skill and understanding and mastery. And that's so important. I think this actually has a counterpart in the universe as a whole, because a couple of weeks ago my friend the mathematician invited me out to hear a lecture by Brian Schmidt, who won the Nobel Prize in Physics a couple of years ago. And it was a great talk, and his work is all about measuring the size of the universe, basically measuring all the stuff that we can't see or touch and figuring out how big and how old the universe is. One of the things he talked about was that what we know as matter, which is atoms and whatnot, makes up about 5% of the universe. Another, I think 20% of it is dark matter, and then the rest of it, which is like 75%, is dark energy, which is actually empty space, which is growing. And that's why the universe is getting bigger. It's not, as I used to think, it's not that the stuff is getting bigger proportionally. It's that the stuff is staying the same. There's more and more and more empty space, which scientists call dark energy, which is the vast majority of everything there is. So everything you think of as the universe, all the matter, all the energy, all the atoms and molecules, all of that is 5% of the universe. All of that is a rounding error from the perspective of everything there is. And I don't take that too literally. Obviously, the world is the only world we have, and it's all really important to us, and we're really important to each other. But it did remind me that most of what really matters, most of what's really important is not the stuff that's around us. It's the things we can't touch. It's everything there is. Justice and compassion and love and inspiration and understanding and knowledge and wisdom and all these things we can't touch. A lot of people would call those spiritual. I don't use that terminology. I'll certainly agree to call it intangible. And that stuff is hugely important to me. It has nothing to do with what turns out to be the fairly limited world of atoms and molecules. And this song from Macklemore touched on a whole aspect of that. You're not wasting your time when you acquire skill, when you acquire knowledge, when you learn about the world around you. You're really tapping into everything that's important. You're really tapping into everything there is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.